Never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Emmet Kennedy.
Welcome to the Final Furlong Podcast weekend preview, where all eyes are on Ascot for Champions Day. We're going to preview all 7 races for you. A stellar cast has been assembled, particularly for the feature race, where it is the return of the grudge match. 1-1 between Delacroix and Ombudsman. 2 horses enter, 2 trainers enter, 1 horse, 1 trainer leaves. We can't wait for it. But maybe a French-trained gelding is going to upstage them. 15 years ago, when this race was first run at Ascot, it was a French-trained gelding who beat 7 previous Group 1 winners. Is a French-trained gelding going to upstage the big guns again? Former jockey Georgia Cox is alongside Andy the Nap Newton, who came so close to continuing his winning Nap run, only to be usurped by the Nap King himself, Peter Michael, who now is Peter the Nap Michael. This is brought to you by 1xBet. You can sign up now at 1xBet.ie. Bet 10, get €30 in free bets. Bet 10, get €30. Gamble responsibly. 18 plus only. Terms and conditions apply. And 1xBet are sponsoring 3 races at the Curragh this afternoon on Thursday as we record. We will begin with the feature race, the Champion Stakes, and the favourite is Ombudsman. Currently, he's trading at 7-4. He's a dual Group 1 winner. He's obviously been fantastic this season, but he's lost out to Delacroix once, who's a dual Group 1 winner himself, and he comes into this race in the back of a career best effort. And then there's one of the highest rated horses in the world, Calandagan. Very unlucky second in this race a year ago. His course record is 1-2-1. I think he might upstage them, Georgia.
Is it another case of who will overcomplicate the tactics more? After watching Gosdens and Ballydoyle this year, I think I'm going to go for Graffard. It would be so much easier to give an opinion here if we'd have watched evenly run races all year. And if you're using Anmat, there isn't that much in it. Calandagan and Delacroix both have form with him. It was an extremely messy race last year. This year is a better race, yes, but also last year was on the inner track. And I think the outer track will suit Calandagan more. And if we look, you can say his 1.5 form is better. And everyone keeps talking about Delacroix's turn of foot and Ombudsman's turn of foot. But Calandagan, when he finished second to City of Troy in the Juddmonte, that turn of foot that day was impressive. He arrives here in better form than what he did 12 months ago. And yeah, I can just hear the interview in my head already of John Gosdens saying that the big 2 were concentrating too much on each other and then something else comes and beats them. Mind you, I do love the way that Super Sumi is taking all these rides on, but I'm going to go with Calandagan.
Simeon is so stylish. We're obviously massive fans of Ryan Moore, but what a man to step into his shoes, and what a brilliant job he's doing. He's been faultless so far. He's going for his 3rd win in this race, and that's no bad thing. And obviously he knows Delacroix really well now. I'm really sorry, Andy. I kind of want to jump to Peter Michael because I can't contain myself with saying this. You're screwed, mate, with Ombudsman. You are screwed. And I would love to be doing a forfeit bet with you. I would love to be doing the whole Kevin Keegan. I would love it if we beat you. But I'm actually with Georgia. I'm with Team Calandagan. I think he's overpriced. He shouldn't be 3-1. And for that reason, I'm going to side with him. But not only did Paige Fuller tell us you don't want to be drawn any higher than 7 and you're in stall 9, but your horse has to do something that only one horse has done in the last 25 years. Win the Prince of Wales Stakes and the Champion Stakes in the same season. The only one to do it? Frankel. Can your horse emulate Frankel?
Are you finished? Can I go now? Emmet, you're right. I'm a bit worried about the draw, but only for one reason, because drawn 8 is an Aidan O'Brien. No hope.
Oh, here we go.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason I'm worried about it. What they're going to do with that horse. They're obviously going to try and break the same time as Ombudsman and try and keep him out wide as they can. So Buick is going to have 2 options. Either try and ping the gates, which is a no-no with this horse, or just miss the kick and stay back and ride your race turning in. And that's the only way you can ride this horse. So if Buick gets the tactics right, it's not even a race again. I think Calandagan could come second. I don't think Delacroix will come second. The Ombudsman has shown me the time he lost to Delacroix that he was a different league to Delacroix. And then they ran once after that. I don't buy into that crap that it was a messy race at York. It's all a load of bollocks. I don't buy into that. Delacroix was a length behind Ombudsman when the pace quickened, and Ombudsman just said, bye-bye, I'm much better than you, I'm much quicker. I'm just a much better horse than you, and he'll show that again. The only worry I have for Ombudsman is, can he show that turn of foot on good ground? I know he's won on soft, I know he's ran one on good, I know he's ran good races and good, but his turn of foot and good to firm, if he can show that in good ground as well, it's goodbye. And I think Calandagan could come second. You know, I'd be more worried about Calandagan than Ombudsman. And, you know, it'll be nice to see economics back, but it's going to be a huge ask for him. But he does have the ability to go close. And we can't forget the horse that beat Ombudsman as well, Al McCann. Yeah, obviously he's been disappointing after that, but he did beat Ombudsman. But then again, that was Ombudsman's first run of the year. That was on good ground. Ombudsman didn't show the turn of foot. He's been showing good to form on that. But look, it was early season form, and who knows what fitness levels they were turning up at. And also another thing we should need to mention is Ombudsman is much better off in the weight again with Delacroix. Now I know it's weight for age, and the trios are getting stronger and stronger at this time of the year. But still, all that is in favour of Ombudsman. And if he runs his race, there's no way Delacroix is going to finish in front of him. No way in hell.
I think he'll do well to be third. Andy Newton?
It's one of those races where all three at the top of the market have got little kinks.
I'm sorry for listeners, because more people are listening.
You're right, Peter.
All I had to do was throw out the fishing rod, and he lost his mind.
You actually believe it. You actually believe it.
He lost his mind. You're drawn in stall 9. You're drawn in stall 9. You have to be only the second horse in 25 years to peak for the Prince of Wales Stakes at Royal Ascot and then continue that peakness to win the Champion Stakes. The only horse capable of doing it is Frankel, and there's plenty of horses who've tried it. Only one could do it, and that was Frankel. I don't think Ombudsman is in Frankel's league. He doesn't have his ground. You're concerned about the ground blunting his turn of foot. And there is no way you're going to pull off those pacemaking shenanigans in this race again. The thing that worries me is I'm very confident Delacroix will finish in front of Ombudsman, but I'm not so sure he'll finish in front of Calandagan.
Has a better turn of foot than Ombudsman? Do you still think that?
Yeah.
Do you, from Leopardstown as well, that made you even assert that? Do you watch that Leopardstown race again? Clifford Lee was a sleeping Royal Champion. Sumion just cut them all in one he got. And who did he? I mean, I don't think that form's good enough to win this race. That turn of foot is not as good as it looked. It's not as good as it looked. He's going to be tapped for toe again without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't know which one of you, whether it's you or Gosden, that reminds me more of Biff Tanner, but this does feel like Back to the Future with Biff Tanner just trying to come up with some elaborate harebrained scheme to get the best of Marty McFly, played for the purposes of this by Aidan O'Brien. And you're just going to end up crashing your convertible into a truck full of manure and end up smelling like it after Calandagan and Delacroix pull away.
Now you've brought that up before we let Andy go. Speaking of Biff Tanner, he had the sports almanac, didn't he, with all the results?
Yes, he did.
We've been basically given that with these two because that's, you know, they've ran their race, there's no excuses. And you guys still can't pick the winner. Come on, well, you, Emmet, because you're saying Delacroix is going to finish ahead of Ombudsman.
Actually, I'd like to formally apologise to John Gosden. He's not Biff Tanner. Peter Michael is. Because the only way he can be getting the amount of consistently high-priced winners he's getting in his Telegram group is that he's got the almanac.
That's a good one.
And you can follow him on X at Peter Michael Racing to get involved now. Andy, I'm so sorry for cutting across you. I couldn't help, though, but just jump on that head in hands moment from Peter. Andy, take it away. Your thoughts on the Champion Stakes.
I'd love to see Ombudsman lose. And look, end of the day, I was the one that...
Why is it always the people that are right before everyone wants to see them lose?
No. He's a great horse. But look, I was the one.
Why would you like to see him lose?
Yeah, no. I was the one that put you onto him in the first place, wasn't I? When he won at Ascot 7-1, right? In the Prince of Wales, so I can sort of go either way here, and I've been chopping and changing all week, right? I mean, look, there's nothing between them really. They've had six wins each. They've both won a Group 1 twice each. There's only $7,000 between them in prize money, right? That's how tight they are between the two of them at the moment. And there's going to be, there's only £2 of difference in the ratings. Obviously, Delacroix gets £4. So, and then you throw the forgotten horse, like you say, the French horse in there, Calandagan, who was second last year. My worry with that is, it has been running over 1.5 miles this year, and I think it has got the pace to drop back. I just worry that it has already been beaten in this race, and would it want softer ground? Maybe it has gone okay on quicker, but it's a tricky one. Tactics are going to be a big part, and the draw, like you say, is just done it for me. I mean, look, 6 of the last 9 have been drawn 5 or lower in this race. Delacroix's got 4. Calandagan and Ombudsman have both been sort of bombed out a little bit by that with 7 and 9. So yeah, I mean, I just think that Aidan's only won this once before. That was magical in 2019. Gosdens got a couple of wins with Cracksman.
Only twice, and it was with the same horse. Neither of them have a good record in the race.
And the Irish generally, just overall, have only won it 3 times since 1974. So, there's just so many sort of like bits and bobs you can come down on for all 3 of them, really. You've got the horse that lost in it last year, and you've got the 2 at the market that just keep beating each other, a couple of times this season. So it's just whatever camp you're in. Then you throw in the track. Obviously, Delacroix never run at Ascot before. Is that a negative? It might not be. He might be a superstar at Ascot. He might love the track. But obviously, Ombudsman and Calandagan have both won here, so they've both got that in their corner. But I think I'm gonna stick with Delacroix only because I just want to see it chin like Peter's horse in the final furlong. Right? And I think Calandagan, I think you're right. I think that might come second, and at a massive price. If you're looking for something that might, if one of these 3 they'll cut each other's throats, and there's something. Last year we had a 40-1 winner or whatever it was, and Matt Fox Legacy needs to find bundles, but it is on the upgrade, and it might just sneak into second or third if you're lucky. Drawn 2's okay. Ex-stout horse, he's won this 3 times in the past. Certainly approved this year for the trip and being gelded. So it's a big ask, big step up, but you never know. That might nick a place. But Delacroix for me.
So hold on a second. Yourself and Emmet don't think Ombudsman will finish in the top 2?
I'm going Delacroix, Calandagan, Fox Legacy.
I'm going Delacroix, Calandagan, Economics. And I'm probably going to do some elaborate. By the way, Calandagan, Delacroix, I should say. I'm probably going to do some elaborate tricast that's Calandagan, Delacroix, Almarac, Calandagan, Delacroix, Economics, Calandagan, Delacroix, Fox Legacy, and then try and get those all scooped in there. Fox Legacy is a great shout, Andy. And he's been completely forgotten about in this race. Like we have had multiple big price winners in this race, and you're 100% right. Aidan's only won it once. This is not a race that Coolmore target every year. I know it's a stallion making race, but Coolmore's modus operandi is to focus on the Arc and the Arc meeting, and then the Breeders' Cup. This is always an afterthought. They've had plenty of horses who were sent off short prices, so you think it was a pretty short price when he ran in this race, and was it Serious Desangles beat him? There's been plenty of horses they've had go off at short prices in this race and be usurped. Fame and Glory was very short. Delacroix is different. I don't think he was ever going to the Breeders' Cup, and he was never going to run the Arc. So it's possible that they've just trained him for this race and that he'll be spot on for it. But the margin for error is really fine at the top level, and there's nothing between Ombudsman or Delacroix. Peter could be right. Peter's an incredible analyst, and he's not being bullheaded. He's telling you what he really thinks, and he can see Ombudsman's going to win this race. So I respect that massively. I respect Andy and Georgia massively as well. These are 2 of the best analysts in racing, in my opinion. And they're telling you not to be with him and to take him on. And the horse that just seems like the most obvious is Calandagan. He's been sent off favourite 6 of his last 8 starts, including for this race last year. Economics was a strong favourite the day before. All the money came in for Calandagan. I think it'll come in again. I think he'll go off favourite. There's a real strong chance that he does. There's nothing between him, Delacroix, and Ombudsman. His course record is 1-2-1. He bolted up in a Kangaroo at the 7 Stakes. He's bolted up in a King George. Rebels Romance has gone on to win 2 Group 1 subsequently. Kalpana's form is a little bit mixed, but we'll see what she does in the mare's race herself. And if she goes and wins or runs a big race, that's probably going to see more support for Calandagan. Miguel Barcelona is an infinitely better jockey than Stefan Pasquier. And he's in tremendous form. And I know he's a punching bag for British and Irish media. That's because they don't have to face him every week. So he's an easy one to have a pop at. But he's been in fantastic form all season. And he won't position this horse, get him buried on the rail, and then meet loads of traffic, and then get there too soon and get nabbed late on. He'll give him a proper ride. And the Eterna foot that he's shown in the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud and the King George is elite. All the Sectional Times boys raving about him. People say, Simon Rowland saying this horse could win the Japan Cup. They've trained him for this race. They've kept him fresh. The French have won this race 5 times since 2005, 3 times since it was switched to Ascot. They've got a great record in it. Francois-Henri Gaffard is without question the second best trainer in Europe, second only to the great Aidan O'Brien. He'll have this horse ready. Barcelona will be ready. He'll be a lot shorter than 3-1. He's the bet. And I'll do Almarac, Fox Legacy, Economics, Delacroix in elaborate multiples, and they'll be the 1, 2, 3. If Ombudsman wins, congratulations. I'll happily shake your hand, Peter, and say, well done, you've bested us. I'll congratulate you on the podcast next week, but I think he's way too short a price.
Well, just before we move on, I think he should be odds on in my mind. I make him odds on for this race. Going into the last race, I did a little poll, and a lot of people, apart from my little poll, all the people on TV, nearly everyone was going with Delacroix. I think about 70% of the people went with Delacroix. And Ombudsman stuffed him, and he's better off in the weights. I'm not buying into the excuse that the race...
Ryan Moore was injured, and that judgment was a farce. It's a farce, and I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you. Who won the Arc?
Hold on, we'll come back to that.
Who won the Arc?
And then after that race, or not after Leopardstown, David Nevison's a guy I respect. It seems a lovely guy.
He's great.
He said if they ever clashed again, he would make Delacroix
odds on. Yeah.
What are you guys seeing?
This is what I love about the sport. The next time I am talking to you, loyal viewer of the Final Furlong podcast, loyal listener to the show, the next time you're having a conversation with someone who says, what's the appeal of racing? I don't get it. This is the appeal of racing. This is it right here.
Exactly.
Opinions. And we're all entitled. Aidan O'Brien said a year ago, we have to celebrate opinions in racing, different opinions. Even if you're criticizing him, even if you're criticizing his horses, you need to celebrate that. This is the game is built on opinions.
And I love this as well. Like, it's good. I wish Jamie Wren was on, because the last time he was on, he said he wanted to debate me about this. And I wish he was on so I could just show him.
Come on Monday show.
How wrong he is. I'll be still pissed, hungover after celebrating Ombudsman's win. I won't be in no show, mate.
One way or the other, yeah.
Having some champagne and a cigar.
We'll send you the link. You can make a cameo appearance, and you can lord it over him if Ombudsman wins, and you can be humble if he gets defeated. Okay, final selections for the Champion Stakes. I'm with Calandagan in my elaborate tri-cast. I'm going to take on Ombudsman. Georgia?
Calandagan.
Andy?
Delacroix, Fox Legacy to run a big race, though.
And Peter Michael, Delacroix is an absolute certainty in your opinion?
Ombudsman first, Calandagan second, I don't know, third. Probably Delacroix, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's not placed.
That's what the game's all about, opinions. Really hope you've enjoyed that little segment. I loved it. I could talk to the lads all day about that, but we got to go on. We've got 6 more races to preview. 1xBet is the new betting company shaking up things in Ireland. And if you sign up now, bet €10, you will get €30 in free bets. Great time to do that for Champions Weekend. Great time to do it with the Breeders' Cup on the way, and of course the new jump season as well. You can sign up now at 1xBet.ie. Your game, your odds, your 1xBet. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Terms and conditions apply as they always do. The second race we're going to talk about is the first race of the afternoon. It's the Stayers race, where the champion stayer, Trawlerman, well, surely he's going to be crowned champion stayer after his devastating win in the Gold Cup and then backing that up at York with the form franked by Sweet William. But is he going to win this race? He was beaten in it a year ago, and he might be somewhat vulnerable. There's a really interesting 3-year-old taking him on as well who brings the Scandinavia form into the race, and he might be the way I go with this, Georgia, but massive respect for Trawlerman all the same. What do you make of the Stayers?
Yeah, Stay True is interesting. Obviously, he gets £7 off Trawlerman, and he's very unexposed. But watching the ledger back, I actually thought he travelled into the race the best and basically got outstayed. And another 2 furlongs, I think he probably would have been beaten further. But it will be interesting. It is the first time we've got like a Scandinavia form line to go in to see how it fares with them. And if he does win, it will give Galileo a Group 1 winner from all 20 of his crops, which should be some feat. But I think Trawlerman, all his, biggest and best performances have been at Ascot. Everyone knows that. I don't think we saw him to best effect last time. It was a strange race tactically. 2 strong front runners in Trawlerman and Al Karim, and they let Shackleton set a pedestrian pace. And it was the closest that Sweet Williams ever got. I know he gave them £3, but still, he's demolished him by 13 lengths before. But since that, Al Karim has set a blistering pace the last 2, and an honest pace over this distance. You need a big heart, which can be the undoing of an inexperienced horse. Trawlerman's had 7 weeks now since York, so I'm just going to be boring and side with him.
Well, people are looking for bankers, and he may very well be the banker on the card. Is he, Andy?
Yeah, he should be. I mean, last year when he got beaten by Qipco, I mean, he hadn't run since Ascot, I think. So there was a bit of a gap. Obviously, they've chucked in, the run at York this time just to keep him ticking over. But still had a couple of months off to freshen up as well. And, you know, I did have a look back, and the sort of head-to-heads with Sweet William. Yeah, Sweet William was second last year in the race. I did beat Trawlerman effectively in a match, but it's 4-1, okay, when those two have met in their careers to Trawlerman. So you think there's going to be, you know, that's going to continue, really. I mean, Sweet William's a brilliant horse, really, consistent as anything. And, you know, it was nice to, you know, that it got the win last time as well. Stay True's the sort of fly in the ointment, if you like. But I'm not sure about 3-year-olds in this. I think since 2009 might have only been one, and I don't think there's any since it's moved to Ascot. Again, not sure sort of how many have tried and that kind of thing. Obviously, Stepping Up in Trip is the unknown, but based on its runs, you know, in the Ledger and so on, that looks like it, you know, will suit up to 2 miles. And we know Aidan's got a good record in this. He's won it 4 times. So, but Gosdens won it 4 as well. And it looks like Trawlerman's really just a couple of unknowns with Stay True. So I think Trawlerman will beat Sweet William personally, and then we'll see about Stay True. Maybe it's probably a longer term project. I think it's staying in training, isn't it? They have said it might.
He's entered in the horses in training sale, but I imagine that's just an administrative error, and he'll come out.
Yeah, so it might be a bit more of a longer term sort of cup horse for, you know, for next season, because this division is pants, as we know. So yeah. Trawlerman for me, though.
Well, Trawlerman's the king of it, and it's really nice to see that he's carrying on that Kyprios form line, and that continues. But it's also just great that a 7-year-old gelding is continuing to perform brilliantly, and it's a full credit to Godolphin that they've got Rebels Romance and Trawlerman winning Group 1s at the age of 7. I'd really like to see him win, Peter. Maybe he is just a banker, but I am somewhat intrigued by Stay True, and I know the speed figure from the St. Ledger had people purring as well.
Yeah, I think Trawlerman wins, simple as that. And I think, you know, if you work it out, Ombudsman's around 2-1. This guy's 8-15. Double works out at 7-2. As well as backing Ombudsman, I think that's a good double, because I'd be surprised if that double didn't come up. It's simple. Look, you get these players once in a while that just dominate, and he's dominated, and he's going to continue to dominate. If he turns up and runs his race, he wins. Just nothing else to talk about.
He's been beaten in at least 2 runnings of the race, but he did beat Kyprios a couple of years ago, albeit Kyprios had literally almost died that year, but still, that was a huge performance, and he was brilliant. He was just sensational in the Gold Cup. He's going to take an enormous amount of beating. Maybe it's going to be a double for the Godolphin boys. Why does the Racing Post keep resetting? It's so frustrating.
Just quickly before we move on, the other interesting thing that might be something is that when Kyprios won this race last year, that was actually Aidan's first winner at Champions Day since Magical won the Champions Day. So you know, that's what. Remember, so it's about a 4 or 5 year gap. So just saying to sort of note that, you know, he's only had, I don't think he had another winner last year, did he, after Kyprios? So he's only had 1 winner since, you know, 2019 at the meeting overall. So might be something just to sort of plonk at the back of your minds when you're looking at all the races on Saturday. But yeah, Kyprios did break the trend last year.
Isn't it funny how I can go back over the last 25 years of runnings, but the only ones that really matter are since 2011, since we switched to Ascot. And I had not spotted that. I had not spotted that. That's a really good point. I remember that being a narrative last year. Even Money is gone about Words of Truth. He's now 7-4 on. He's a horse who did us a big favour a couple of weeks ago. We put him up on the Final Furlong podcast. He was the YouTube thumbnail selection. He was a nap for most of the panel, and he got the job done against Into the Sky. He's 3 from 3 since he's been gelded, and with the benefit of hindsight, maybe he needed that gelding operation anyway, but he ran in one of the hottest maidens run this season behind Humidity. Title Roll has boosted that form. Do or Do Not. Sirius A. Crest of Fire keeps running well and keeps bumping into pretty decent horses. Morris Dancer has come out and been a really good horse as well. Might be one of Godolphin's best 2-year-olds for the Gosdens, and there's a number of other horses who've done very well from that race as well. He's unexposed. He doesn't have to carry a penalty for his Group 2 win, and that was a really smart performance the other day, Georgia.
Yeah, a conditions race without any conditions. So the likes of the Mill Reef winner gets off level weights, which is, I imagine, obviously he's going to be hard to beat. Charlie Appleby's only runner, and the last furlong was his best furlong, already a course and distance winner. So I'm going to go for a big each way horse.
Hey!
Siren Suit. He's one of the most unexposed in the field. He ran the end of April and never really got a clear run over 5 furlongs at Ascot to finish 3rd in a bunch finish. To the future Middle Park winner, Wise Approach, winning the race. Super Soldier, who has since been 2nd in a Group 2 in France and is now rated 100. And Tajid, nose behind him in fourth, who's won a Group 3 in France since and is now rated 105. The fifth horse has also won. The sixth horse is rated 100. The other sixth horse, because there was a dead heat, has won. The eighth horse has won. The 10th horse has won. Then he must have had a setback 161 days away from the track. He returned last Wednesday at Kempton over 7 furlongs, just going through the motions. He's only rated 88. And I did actually see Rab and asked about him. And he said he had ridden him out that morning. He's quite a quirky horse at home, but from his Ascot form, he should run well. And Rab gets the best out of these quirky ones we know with Audience and Sweet Williams. Standard Red Hood job. Drawn 5, the favourite's drawn 3. Hopefully he runs well.
And that form-wise approach is obviously really good at Ascot. John Gosden also trained the dam to win a Group 3 as a 2-year-old at Ascot, and he's by Churchill, who won the St. James's Palace Stakes, so he's bred for this job. 16-1, you're getting him at Siren Suit. It's a really interesting pick for Georgia Cox. Andy Newton, for you?
Yeah, that is definitely an interesting one. But yeah, like you say, it's hard to get away from words of truth. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that chuck the sort of 3 Godolphin ones into some kind of treble, isn't there? You know, Trawlerman, this one, and then Peter's also Ombudsman in the Champion Stakes. So that will probably pay at the moment 4 or 5 to 1, maybe the treble, depending on your shopping.
I'll pay more than that.
Pay more than that, you think?
Well,
is Ombudsman going to drift out then? Is it?
What?
Ombudsman's going to drift, is it? Huh?
No, he's 2 to 1. Say Trawlerman's 1 to 2. That's 7 to 2. And this guy's what, evens?
No, he's at 1 to 2, I think.
I'm seeing best odds in the Racing Post 10 to 11.
Oh, I thought Emmet said it was 4 to 7. But yeah, depending on we're a couple of days out, so depending on what the prices are. But yeah, it might be
7 to 4 on with one major firm. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay, sorry.
There'll be plenty of people, and because these are the first 2 races as well. There'll be a lot of people just doubling them up and that kind of stuff as well. And it's easy to see why. Like you say, we whacked it up in the last time in the Mill Reef, and it did us a favour. And I mean, who else is in there? I mean, I think it's a great shout from Georgia for that one. And I haven't actually looked at that Gosden horse, but with all that sort of form backed up with the horses in behind winning on in that race on debut, that could be interesting. And I think. Does Mission Central still go? I think it might do.
I backed him at 16 to 1 and he's 15 to 2 now.
Yeah, that could bounce back. I mean, look, you can forgive that last run over 5 furlongs. Both its wins have been over 6 furlongs. So that probably could be a bit overpriced, and maybe people are latching onto that already. So yeah, Mission Central could be the danger for me. But yeah, the truth looks the obvious one.
Yeah, we don't have jockey bookings yet as we're recording, but I'm hoping Christoph Simeon is going to ride Mission Central. I think he's really interesting. He's 15 to 2 now. You might be able to get a little bit bigger if you shop around. Obviously don't, but with 1xBet, sign up now and make a fortune for yourself. But he was unbelievably impressive in that maiden at the Curragh, and the form of that was boosted on Sunday when Chicago Pub came out and won a maiden. He's then beaten the Publican Sun in a Group 3 at the Curragh. Again, he's made all... The Publican Sun was very disappointing in the Middle Park, but bear in mind, that was only the horse's second lifetime start. They booked Oisin Murphy to ride him. They obviously think he's a Group 1 horse to throw him in at the deep end and only his second start in a Group 1 in the UK. And then last time out, he gets within 3/4 of a length of Revival Power, who Georgia holds in very high regard. I do too. Revival Power might have been disappointing, but she did herself no favours being far too keen. And that day, as Andy points out, dropping back to 5 furlongs, in hindsight, probably didn't suit him, and he didn't get to the lead. If he gets to more prominent front-running tactics on a stiff 6 furlongs at Ascot, I really like him, especially being a no-name never. Does carry his head a little bit high, but he's a horse who's capable of outrunning his odds. There is something very ironic about... I really am happy this race is in, and I think it's a fascinating race, but the idea of this is to be a stallion-making race on Champions Day. There's a hint of irony if a Godolphin and a Ballydoyle horse fight out the finish of this and they're both geldings. Peter Michael, who are you with?
Yeah, I don't really have a firm opinion. I don't think there's much value in the favourite, even though I do think he'll win. So I think he's the most likely winner, but I'd much rather be on Trawlerman at 8 to 15 or Ombudsman at 2 to 1 than this guy at evens or 4 to 7 or whatever he is. Look, he's the most likely winner, but I won't be backing him. I won't be really getting involved in the race. It wouldn't surprise me if Aidan won it. Georgia's made a good case for the Gosden horse as well.
I'm going to back that horse.
An outsider that's 80 to 1 I'm seeing here who could run a better race than the odds imply is number 11. Watch Your Snoop was second to Words of Truth on his first run, won nicely enough on soft ground, and then obviously was massively disappointing last time. But if you just put a line through that, he could just be a small bit of value if he might sneak into a place. But yeah, not a race I'm overly keen on getting involved in, but you would expect Words of Truth to win it.
Gets David Egan for the first time, first run off a gelding operation, and he's 80-1 as a course and distance winner. Peter Michael. Just when Georgia Cox thought she was the one who was swinging for the fences, along comes Peter and goes, I'll take your 12-1, 16-1 shot.
It's just the fact that he was second to Words of Truth already. Now, I know they improve a lot, but and he won after that. And obviously, he didn't run his race at Newbury for whatever reason. So if you hadn't run in Newbury, he'd probably be 14, 16-1 in this. And that's probably more true reflection of his chance in the race.
80-1 pick from Peter Michael.
No, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if he hit a place. But
yeah. No, it's not necessarily your selection, but still, if he goes in, you better believe we're going to be tweeting about that. If that horse goes,
I'll have a fiver each way on him, but no more than that.
Gamble responsibly, and maybe get that 80-1 with 1xBet on Saturday morning. The Qipco British Champion Sprint Stakes. Oh, dearie me, who's going to come out in the sprint wheel of madness this time around? Georgia Cox. If Lazat comes back to his Royal Ascot form, he'll take a lot of beating, but do you trust him to do that?
Yeah, it's a difficult one with Lazat because I don't think there's been a real excuse for him getting beat the last twice. You can say draw at Haydock, but he just hasn't had the same finesse about the way he went at Ascot. Maybe returning to Ascot will bring that back. We'll see. But a horse that I've liked for this for ages, but with the mind thinking that it would have been soft ground, was Momtazem. He comes here fresh. Kieran Fallon rides him extremely well. I thought he had a lovely prep race at Newbury last time over a trip too short. Being a haggis horse, they're going to come on loads from it, and there is quite a lot of pace in the race with Witness Stand, Quinault, Spy Chief. They'll all, set a good pace, and he should come through. Another horse who I still think he'll run well, despite it not being soft ground, but I would just have been more confident if it was soft ground. Another horse who I'm going to put a line for, and I don't like sticking up for these sprinters, but my one line of hope with Big Mojo is his first 2 runs of the year. He was so fresh and keen. They then decided to hold him up, and they were so concentrating on getting cover and pulling him out of the race. And the last time they did it was at Ascot in the Commonwealth Cup. And then since that, then they dropped him back to 5 at Goodwood, which didn't suit. And then since that, the last twice they've let him go again. And he's got the freshness out of him, and he's ran 2 consistent races, second in July Cup, winning at Haydock. And I just think that he might, now they're just, they're not overcomplicating it. He could be a consistent sprinter if there is such a thing.
Well, he's got back-to-back runs in Group 1s that are pretty decent, and even the run in Goodwood was pretty decent as well. He wasn't beaten that far by James Jungle. 2 lengths is a lot further over 5 furlongs than it is over a mile, but still he shaped pretty well that day, and they sent him off favourite for it. I get it. I'm tempted to go and swing for one at a big price. I'm going to swing for one at a big price, but oh dear. Andy Newton, make sense of the champion sprint, please. The champion sprint!
It's like we've been saying all season, isn't it? I mean, pretty much anything can win this, probably. It's going to be a fine margin type of race where, split decisions could be the difference. Can't have Lazat, personally. Big Mojo has had a great season and couldn't put you off that. Montazib, my problem with that is the age. Unfortunately, Georgia. I mean, look, Haggis, I know they have 100% target this race. I mean, there was an interview, I think I mentioned it 2 or 3 weeks ago, when he was talking to Chappers or someone at Kempton, and the previous race at Newbury, he sort of said, look, probably rule that one out. This is the big target. Obviously 5th in it last year. But, a 7-year-old, I don't think there's been a winner older than 6 since I went back to 1960, put it that way. So that would be my little niggle with Montazib. But it has run all right in the race before. And we've obviously got last year's winner, Kind of Blue, who I am probably going to come down on. Look, it was drawn 17 last year. It's got 18 this time, so that's absolutely fine. And when you look at its prep, it's exactly the same as last year. It ran at the Curragh, it's run at Haydock, and now they're chipping it in at Ascot in a race it won last year. So it's all primed up for this. It's still only 4. It's only had 11 races still. There should be some more to come. Acts on all ground, so the faster ground will be fine. The only sort of thing, I love a stat, but the last back-to-back winner of this was Don Years as well, like 1950. So that's the other negative against that. And I think last year's, was it 3rd last year, Flora of Bermuda? I think that could probably there or thereabouts as well. You know, it's only blocked this year, came in that July Cup when it fluffed to start. So apart from that, it's fairly consistent. It's hard to win with. We know it's only won in its last, I don't know, it might be 13 or something like that, I think it was. But look, Oisin Murphy's on, and wouldn't be surprised if it's a bit similar to last year, really. Look, Kind of Blue won it. Florida Bermuda was third, and I think those two could fight it out again. Could even be a Wafdan 1, 2, 3 if Lazat nicks third. Who knows?
Well, they would love that, especially after all the sprinters they've mopped up. And to be fair, they've run well. It's the same preparation as you said last year, and he's the third member of his family to win this race. All three of them trained by James Franshaw. He does look like he's peaking. Why is James Doyle not riding him? Why is he staying with Lazat, who's been disappointing as a favourite the last couple of times? That would bother me. Maybe it's just riding arrangements are going to be suited. Look, this division is terrible. Asafora, according to Australian racing experts that I talk to, is not even in the top 10 of the best sprinters in Australia. Maybe that's a very harsh thing to say, but that's what the Aussies themselves are saying, or at least some of them do. The Peter Michaels of Australia. We tell you Asafora is not in the top 10 of Australian sprinters, and she's won 3 European Group 1s, and she would murder this lot over 5 furlongs. So this is an awful division. I have very little interest in backing a horse at a single figure price, and for that reason, and it does feel like, this does to a certain extent feel like this is Cliff Horse territory. But Inisherin is the one I'm going to go with, and I backed him at 16-1 last night. He's into 12-1 with a couple of firms now. I think he was drawn on the wrong side at Haydock. He's right alongside Lazat going into the final furlong. And what interested me was he was backed from 18-1 into 12-1 just at the off. They sent him off 3-1, second favourite for the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes. Kevin Ryan was devastated. They pulled him from the July Cup. I can't explain Deauville to you. Maybe he just needed the run. His connections clearly think he's capable of a big race. He's a course and distance winner. He won the Commonwealth Cup. That form has worked out pretty well. I'm going to chance that this is the time that the roulette wheel of madness lands on number 3 Inisherin, but it's not a confident pick. Peter?
Yeah, again, I think exactly like you said, only God knows who's going to win this race. Maybe God doesn't even know. I'm going to go with the French horse, Rayevka.
So is Jamie Wren.
Yeah, at least me and Jamie agree on one thing. I'm going to go with Rayevka. I really like that run in a Royal Ascot. Clearly, she's a horse that's the first time she ever ran in good to firm ground. She's not going to get that. I can't really see Ascot being good to firm. It'll probably just be genuine good ground on Saturday. Clearly, she's a horse, obviously, that probably prefers good or even good to firm ground. I mean, that was her only run good to firm, and it was an eye-catching run. She made up a lot of ground from quite far back, and I think she was just behind. Obviously, Time for Sandals won it. Yeah, Arizona Blue was second, and she kind of went all the way with Arizona Blue when she made the ground. And we know what Arizona Blaze. We know what Arizona Blaze has gone on to do after that. Yeah, look, you pay your money, you take your chances. That's what you're doing in this race, but at least you're doing it with a horse that has a reason to run better than she has been running. And she's a nice price. I'm seeing 12-14-1. I think that's a fair each way price for her. And, wouldn't surprise me if she won. And, if she puts her best foot forward, she should be placed. And she'd have as good a chance as any of them in my book to win it. So, yeah, I'll go with her as an each way fancy.
Anything could win this race. Even Spy Chief could win it. He'd be better suited to 6 furlongs than 7. And he ran well in the July Cup. He was 80-1 when I last checked. Who knows? In the words of Peter Michael, who knows? You can join 1xBet Ireland right now. Bet a €10 bet, place a €10 bet, if I can use my mouth words quickly. Bet €10, get €30 in free bets. There's also the lost refund bet. Get a free bet back on losing wagers. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Check out the 1xBet website now. It's going to be completely revamped for horse racing. It's going to blow your mind when it's done. But right now, there's a lot of offers there for you to take full advantage of. Sign up now at 1xbet.ie. Good crack, great odds. That's 1xBet. Gamble responsibly. 18 plus only. BeGambleAware.org. 1xbet.ie to take advantage of all the really cool offers that are available. And your support of them is support of the Final Furlong Podcast, which we greatly appreciate. Let's take a look at the Fillies Mares Stakes. I'm much more excited about this race. Qipco British Champions Fillies Mares race won very impressively last year by Kalpana, and she's the 9-4 favourite. Strange on the drift, out to 4-1 after overcoming her allergic reaction to the stalls. I mean, whatever it was that was bothering her on Arc Day. Danny Tuttup is back on board. Wardaw is a really nice horse, drops back in trip after a good win at Goodwood, and she's been trained for this race. Quisisana is one of a couple for Francois-Henri Gaffard. Miguel Barcelona's on board. Latika was a horse that Adam Mills put you onto at 20-1. She's into 12s now. William Buick is going to ride. And Bedtime Story, confirmed. Paige Fuller put this horse up yesterday at 16-1, so did I. and now 12-1 best price about a horse who was a devastatingly impressive winner at Royal Ascot as a juvenile. Georgia Cox, who are you with?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Horses, I think, have gone from the Arc meeting to win on Champions Day, and Kalpana is a genuine Group 1 filly in the field, but I'm not sure I'd really want to back her at what favourite price after a hard race in the Arc. She's been on the go since May, but she does bring the best Ascot form, so maybe that counts for the most. Another really good filly, bringing 3.5 lengths behind Mini Hawk on fast ground. I mean, this isn't going to be soft ground, it's going to be good ground with, and it's had a nice dew in it all week, so it's going to be I think it's just going to be lovely, fresh, good ground. Will that be enough to see her potential at her best? And she shares a form line with Warder, and in the fact they've both beaten Danielle. And I do like Warder. It wouldn't be the first time Owen Burrows has sport the party on Champions Day. It's always been the plan, unlike 5 other of these who have come from Arc Weekend. She stays further. She'll like the stiff finish. And I think there's more to come from her. And I'm just not... I don't know. There's question marks about all of them. It is a hard one. I don't think I would... I do like also Kisisana, but she's so light race. Being a 5-year-old and now suddenly going from 2 hard runs, I don't know. I think it would just be something small on Warder, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to take 2. We might take the long way. He's got the Mini Hawk form. She was second to her in the Irish Oaks. She obviously ran a big race in the Oaks as well, and she wasn't far behind Kalpana in the Pretty Polly Stakes, and this trip will suit her much better over a mile 4. She ran a massive race in the Prix de l'Opera. She was sent off the 13-5 favourite for that race. Her form maybe didn't deserve that, but I suppose Mini Hawk running such a massive race meant that the gamble developed on her. I think the ground will suit her better, the trip will suit her better, and that Mini Hawk form is very hard to ignore, and she doesn't have much to find with Kalpana. The other one who's just fascinating is Bedtime Story, and I backed her at 16-1 during the week. I'm going to back her again. This is dangerous cliff horse territory as well, but she was massively impressive in the Chesham Stakes. You can question the strength of that form, but the second was placed in a handicap of 90, and Lazy Griff was battered 18 lengths that day before going on to be classic placed. She's twice beaten in Group 2 and Group 3 company, subsequent Group 1 winner Barnavara, and subsequent Group 1 place Stable Companion Exactly. This season, she's been second in the French Oaks when maybe she was a little bit inconvenienced by the draw. I think the Gaffard horse was the best horse on the day, but she ran really well there. She's won a massive race in the Prix Foy to be third behind last year's Arc runner-up Aventure, and again Gizora that day. And last time out, they sent her off 3-1 favourite for her first go over a mile 6, and Christophe Soumillon looked after her Ryan Moore style when it was very obvious she wasn't going to stay, and she was beaten. Back to the scene of her most impressive victory. We are running out of time for this horse to be able to go and strut her stuff, but the form is there for her to go and run a big race. And Aidan O'Brien has won this twice, had 2 seconds and 3/3 in the last 8 years. So Bedtime Story is the main pick, but I'll have a little savour and we might take the long way. Andy Newton, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, considering this race is over a mile and a half, but it's had a weird sort of stall stat that's built up over the years. Look, all of the last 10 have been 6 or higher. All right, which it's a strange one. We've never had a winner from stall 1, 3, 5, or 7 since it got moved to Ascot. So Kalpana's in 7 and Estrange is in 1. All right, so they're going to be trying to do it first, since it got moved to Ascot. And the hot stalls, 7 of the last 10 have just been 8, 10, and 11. So we've only got 10 runners, I think, haven't we? So there's no stall 11. So it's just stalls 8 and 10. So coming out of stall 8 is Danielle and stall 10 is One Look. So whether there's something there, I don't know. But Georgia might be able to elaborate a bit more on why the draw. I don't know, because they go straight, don't they, for the first bit of the race, and then obviously they come around the bend. But for some reason, those drawn on the inside have not done very well in this race at all. So I don't know. Is there a reason, do you think, for it or not?
Not sure really.
No. Yeah, but anyway, so I did like Estrange before this, and then I saw the draw, and it put me off. I mean, look, the Mini Hawk sort of tie-in, it was 3.5 lengths by Mini Hawk, and it gave it £9 that day. You sort of tie that in with Kalpana in the Arc, 7 lengths behind Mini Hawk, and gave it £7. So, for the sake that Kalpana's rated 122 and Estrange is rated £10 lower, can't really understand that personally. A £10 gap between the two. So, and it's only had 6 runs, 4 wins. Is strange, but it's just a draw. And based on that, I think I might just take a bit of a punt on One Look. It was supplemented, and look, on breeding, it should just be no go for 1.5 miles. It's like, how are you even running over this? But visually, on its last couple of runs over 1.25 miles, has looked like it might be worth a bit of a go. And the fact they've supplemented it, James Doyle's on it, draw 10 based on the stats looks all right. So that might be a little play here, One Look each way, but it's a tricky race.
Paddy Toomey bidding for his second big win at the track this season. Peter Michael?
Yeah, tricky race. It's hard to know how the horses that ran 13 days ago are going to perform. I mean, Kalpana, for example, if she runs her race, she's probably going to win. But, it's no easy task to come back 13 days after a very, very hard race in the Arc and expect a horse to perform up to the ability they can. But obviously, it's the last race of the season. So a lot of these horses are just going to have a go. So I'm going to go with a Strange. I'm worried about the draw, as Andy said. It's not ideal, but she travels well. She could have the speed to get the gaps when they're there. So I'm going to go for her in hope that the draw is not, a death sentence. Of the others, I like We Might Take the Long Way as well. I put her up against Minnie Hawk at the Curragh and said she was a big enough price. I think she was 5 or 6 to 1 in a basic match. I said she'd push Minnie Hawk a lot closer, and she did. Again, she only ran 13 days ago. But, I mean, Kalpana has beaten We Might Take the Long Way, I think, by 3 or 4 lengths. And Kalpana is £6 better off due to the weight for age. Obviously, again, I know, the 3-year-olds are getting stronger at this time of the year, so they need less weight for age. But that has to be concerned. So I'll go for a Strange. And I wouldn't be surprised, despite what I've said, if We Might Take the Long Way runs well. And Andy made an interesting case there for One Look. I mean, Paddy Toomey's no idiot. And if he's supplementing the horse, especially a filly, for a race, they're not going to be far away.
Good point. Well made. Enjoyed that preview. We'll go on to the arguably second feature race. I think it is the second feature race. The Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes, where Field of Gold is back in action in search of his third Group 1 at the scene of his most impressive victory, although this time he's going to have to do it on a straight track. And he's also, similar to Ombudsman, going to have to defy a major statistic. In the last 25 years, only one horse has won the St. James's Palace Stakes and the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes in the same season, the GOAT, Frankel. Can Field of Gold do it? Maybe. Colin Keane's going to be on board. He's a 13-8 favourite. Rezalian, Europe's best miler, keeps running good races. He's an absolute solid moral to be placed. Is he going to go one better and win? We'll find out. 4-1. The Line in Winter will have Christoph Simeon's assistant, 7-1. Fallen Angel, who had the speed figure Time Boys, absolutely losing their minds after her win at Newmarket the other day in the Sun Chariot Stakes, goes in search of her 4th consecutive Group 1, her 6th overall, and Fillies have suddenly got a pretty decent record in this race, and that's not to mention Never So Brave and Docklands, who've both been impressive at Ascot. Never So Brave, a Group 1 winner last time out, in front of Rezalian, and yet he's available at 12-1. Rezalian is 4-1. Georgia Cox makes sense of the QE2.
Yeah, there are just so many questions with Field of Gold. We don't know how much of a setback it was. It's just quite hard to gauge. Never So Brave has had a clean run into the race with a good gap since York, with the form boost since with Mariona Charlie winning the 4A, and I think he'll get another boost by Lake Forest at 7:35 on Saturday morning. He runs in the King Charles at Ranwick against Pride of Jenny and Mr. Brightside. So I think obviously he could be in for another form boost. He's very progressive, going from a Royal Ascot handicap to Group 1 success in 3 runs. I mean, they do share form with Henry Matisse, was 3.5 lengths behind Field of Gold in the St. James's Palace Stakes and 2.5 lengths behind Rezalian in the Moulin. Never So Brave was a length in front of Rezalian in the City of York. So there isn't that much in it. And Gosden has had some almighty flops on Champions Day in the past.
Yeah, in spiral.
Especially when the trainer's title there's been pressure on that, with the only 2 times Palace Pier got beat in his whole career was both on Champions Day. Same with Mishriff, he got beat when he was 13-8 favourite by Sealaway on Champions Day. And there are 3 things that are consistent: Balding, Oisin and Never So Brave. So for 12-1, I'll go for him.
Yeah, he's a massive price. It's crazy. I can't imagine he's going to go off that price. Andy Newton, that's a compelling case made by Georgia for Never So Brave. Who are you with?
Yeah, I can't have Brazilian. Field of Gold, same. If it comes back to the form from early in the season, but I'm not quite sure. It's just a bit of an unknown, isn't it? A bit of a risk. So, and draw 14. I'm not sure if that's great. I mean, 13 of the last 16 have been just between 2 and 8. So, Fallen Angel, your fancy there actually okay in stall 8, and it's just that is interesting. It is when I looked the other day, I thought like, it's 8 to 1, 10 to 1. I thought maybe it's not running. Because it's like, why is it such a big price? It's coming here off 3 Group 1 wins. I know it's taken on the boys now, but that is very interesting, that one. And I think the money will start to come for Fallen Angel. Never So Brave and Docklands were the 2 I sort of came down on though. But the problem is I've just looked and they're both drawn high, which is not ideal. I mean, Docklands, look, we all know it loves Ascot. It's probably £6 or £8 better horse at Ascot for some reason. Its form here is 1, 1, 3, 2, 2, 1. Right. So I don't think it's ever at the first 3 or whatever. So at 12 to 1, 14 to 1, that looks like a great each way bet. It's and like. Never So Brave, it's finished ahead of Rosallion and it's like 3 or 4 times the price this season. It's back up to a mile, but that's fine. Has won over a mile this season as well. Improvement, surely there's some more improvement to come. It's won 5 of its 11 races. We know it's won at the track before. Murphy's on board. So look, I'd rather have a little bit of a go on Never So Brave and Docklands with all the unknowns over the sort of top 2 at the head of the market. But I do respect Fallen Angel. I think there's just, is it one race too many? It's had quite a busy sort of autumn, isn't it? But
I can understand why you would say that, but the speed figure boys that I really respect and that I like, they've been raving about this. They've been raving about Fallen Angel's performance in Newmarket. And whenever they say that to me, I always go to the Racing Post for the next race that horse is going to run in and look at the adjusted top speed figures. Fallen Angel comes out on top. She's rated 126. She's £5 clear of Field of Gold, who's next best on 121. That time figure at Newmarket was massive. And Paige Fuller made the point yesterday that, there was a tailwind. Her point was, there's plenty of tailwinds at Newmarket. Horses don't necessarily clock that kind of a speed figure. It was hugely, hugely impressive. She's totally unexposed in cheek pieces. The first time she wore them was at Royal Ascot when she was beaten, but the ground was probably too quick for her that day. She's now won 3 Group 1s, and you're going to say, but her record against the boys. She was beaten in the Lock-in. I spoke to Carl Burke the day before that race. He was adamant she was going to massively need the run and that she would improve for it, and that she would be a much better horse as the season progressed. And that's exactly what's happened. Straight after she won the Sun Chariot Stakes, this is the race that Carl Burke said they were going to go for. She's going for her 6th Group 1. And there's a narrative out there that fillies don't have a good record in this race. It is true that Minding was the first winner of this race as a filly since 19-dickety-doo. It was 1987. But then the next year, John Gosden won the race with a filly. And then I Can Fly was 2nd in the race, narrowly beaten. And then Tahira was 3rd, and Tampvana was 3rd in the race a year ago. Fillies actually have a really good recent record in this race. And with the exception of Minding, Fallen Angel is superior to all of those horses. Minding obviously was just incredible, but Fallen Angel is a superb, superb racehorse. They have to give her weight. She's going to be able to control the race in the front end. I think she's a huge player. She's one of my strongest fancies of the day, 8 to 1. I'll be a little bit of a coward and take 2 in this. We'll see what kind of each way terms we can get, but Never So Brave is too big at 12 to 1. That's massive. I'll play the forecast. Don't like the draw for Rosallion, but the TriCast will be Fallen Angel, Never So Brave, Rosallion. Peter, Michael, who are you with?
Yeah, you guys have made good cases for your selections, but for me, there's 2 horses I'm interested in here. Field of Gold is number 1. It'd be great to see him win and win nicely because he looked a serious horse all season. Obviously, there was excuses last time. We all know what went on. I know he's had an injury and he's coming back from it. So that's never easy to try and work out. You just don't know how they're going to come back. But if Gosden's running him on a day like this, he must be happy with him. So, yeah, for me, Field of Gold is probably the most likely winner. You have to respect Rosallion. You have to respect Fallen Angel as well. Never So Brave, of course, is a nice, tasty price. But the other one I'm going to go with, and I put him up the last time we were talking about this horse, which was in Ascot, at Royal Ascot at 25 to 1 is my best each way bet of the meeting, and he won his Docklands. You can't leave Docklands out of calculation. And again, 14 to 1 is simply too big for this horse. So I'm going to go with Field of Gold and Docklands, and hopefully they finish first and second.
I would like to change my trifecta. It'll be a combination trifecta on Fallen Angel, Never So Brave, Rosalian, and Docklands. Because Page Fuller.
Yeah, you can't leave Docklands out.
Yeah.
Docklands will run this race. He'll be in the top 4 or 3.
And Andy's right. He's £6 better at Ascot than he is anywhere else. Okay, very quickly, selections for the handicap. Handicap to round things off on Champions Day. It's the Balmoral handicap. Native Warrior is favourite. James Doyle takes over after Jamie Spencer guided him to 2 really smart victories. He's now off a mark of 109. Can he continue his progression? I think you're pretty keen on Shout, Georgia.
Yeah, I like Shout. We saw advertised with the winner of the Osho Sharp Stakes last week with Calandagan, and I think he'll have the winner of the Balmoral too. I followed this horse for a while. I liked him when he won at Doncaster last year. I thought he cruised through the race and did nothing in front. And I've always thought he'd have a big day in him. I really fancied him at the start of the year when he ran at Ascot, and he completely missed the break and didn't have the best run through to only just really get beat. Since then, he has had excuses. He had a bad draw at Goodwood and was pitched wide the whole way. But Oisin was a big plus for him last time, and I think he'll go on to do it again.
I'm going to follow you in blindly. Shout 11-2. Andy Newton.
Yeah, Native Warrior's been impressive, isn't it? It's up another £6. It's got a big weight and stuff. The draw's okay though. Draw 8 because 8 of the last 11 have been 10 or lower in this, so there's something to go on there. And even 6 of the last 10 have been 5 or lower. So really, if that is going to continue, you want something potentially in sort of single figures. Other things to sort of chuck out there. Gosden has never won this race, but he's had a zillion seconds. I think he's had about 5 seconds. So he's got 5th column going here to try and sort of break his duck. David O'Meara loves this race. He's won it 3 times in the last 11, and he's got 3, I think, like Cerulean Bay, Bo Pedro, and one at a big price, which I think is probably overpriced. That Theory of Everything, which when you look back at its last race at Goodwood, it was only 2.5 lengths behind that Cerulean Bay. And before that, it ran second to Thunder Roar. Look, it might want softer ground, but it has gone okay on sort of quicker. But that at 6-6-1 for a trainer, that's got a top record in this, and it's drawn low, is certainly interesting. But the 2 main ones are that EBT's Guard and that Erasag. They're both drawn low as well. They've got sort of form tied in, with the Shergar Cup, and also tied in with that Cerulean Bay, but seem to be slightly better off at the weights. EBT's Guard's drawn 1, which is fine, and the other one, Erasag's drawn 4, and 3 of the last 10 winners have come from drawn 4 in this as well. I mean, that to me, I don't know why that's 20-1. I mean, it ran 5th in the Shergar behind that EBT's Guard. Then it came second in the Group 2, the Celebration Mile. Then it's running a listed race. It's back down to a handicap here. It's consistent, and it's got the draw. So Erasag is probably the main bet here. Jamie Spencer rides as well, and we all know, Ascot on the straight course.
Peter?
Yeah, I don't have a firm opinion in this at all. It's quite competitive. I thought Tribal Chief, maybe, if you forgive his last run, 33-1 is a bit big. But yeah, I know I'm a lot more interested in the other races we've talked about. I think there was 4 out of 5 races I was sweet enough on. So yeah, I'll put up just because I think he's a bit of value, because I thought he'd run well last time, Tribal Chief, and he didn't really run much of a race. So I'll go with him because he's a tasty each way price, but I wouldn't be having more than a tenner each way.
Good to see Devin Manussia with a winner on Champions Day as well. All right, naps for the team. We're going to begin with Peter Michael. And Peter, your nap of the weekend of Champions Day is obviously Delacroix. Absolute good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have absolutely made a convincing case that he's going to turn around the form on worse terms in the race. Yeah, I've definitely bought that. I'm going to offload everything onto him. Yeah, look, it's Ombudsman for me. I'm a bit worried that he's drawn 9 and O'Brien has 1 drawn 8. I don't know how that's going to play out, but hopefully Buick will ride him for, a turn of foot and not go forward with him. And if he rides him rightly, he'll win. Simple as. He's better than each of these, and he'll have too much speed for them. Calandagan will probably chase him home in second.
It's going to be a cracking race. I can't wait for it. My nap of the day is Fallen Angel. I'm really excited about her prospects getting the weight allowance, and confirmed Carl Burke will be on the Final Furlong podcast tomorrow. You'll have that audio only, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn. It'll be available on all good podcast audio apps. Carl Burke on the Final Furlong podcast, taking you through his runners for Champions Day and reflecting on what's been an incredible season for him. Fallen Angel's got obvious claims, which I've already explained for the QE2. Andy, the Nap Newton, your nap of the day, your good thing is?
It's down there, kind of blue. It's going to be a lottery, the sprint, but same prep as last year. Curragh, Haydock, Ascot, done it again this year. And a couple of little MBs, the Arasag that we just spoke about in the Balmoral, and look, you can't leave out Docklands at that kind of price. The fact it loves Ascot so much in the QE2.
Georgia Cox, your nap of the day, you're swinging for the fences.
Obviously, it's just really competitive racing, so it is hard. But I think I'm going to try and go for the big each way price with Siren Suit. There's just so much form that's come out of that Ascot race. And, Gosden has done it before when he's given a horse a quick run the week before, like our dad, before he went and won at Ascot. So let's hope he's going to do that again.
Could be the first winner of the race, and obviously bred to do the job, being by Churchill, out of a Group 3 winner as a juvenile at the track as well for John Gosden. That is it. You could do a lucky 15 on those horses with 1xBet. They're all in different races. Ombudsman for Peter Michael, Siren Suit in the 130 for Georgia, Kind of Blue in the 205, and the Sprint Wheel of Madness and Fallen Angel 325. It's a pretty decent each way nap, with the exception of Ombudsman, who will inevitably let you down. Right, that's it. We'll talk about it all on Monday's podcast. Adam Mills, Georgia Cox, and Pricewise himself, Jamie Wren, will be here to break down the action. And we're also looking forward to the National Hunt season. We've got some Breeders' Cup content coming your way very soon as well. If you haven't already smashed a like on this video, please do so. It's a massive help to us with the algorithm. And hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. We really appreciate your support of the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. From Georgia, Andy, Peter, and me, enjoy Champions Day. We'll see you next week.
One second. I can't wait to see Jamie's excuse on Monday. Can't wait, Jamie. Can't wait.
Jamie Wren will be here, bullets loaded in the gun, ready to fire out some ammunition at Peter Michael. Follow Peter Michael on X at Peter Michael Racing. Newt's Daily Lace for Andy Newton. Georgia _Cox _ because somebody obviously beat her to it on X, and I'm at Radio Emmet on the tweet machine. See you next week. God bless.
Thanks for spending some time with us on the Final Furlong podcast. We're independent media, so if you like what we do, hit like, share, and subscribe. It's free, it's quick, and it genuinely helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more where that came from. Don't miss out. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major platforms, and join us on the gravy train. The Final Furlong podcast, independent, unfiltered, and powered by you.